Hi folks, we are back. Not very often I get the chance to come back to a place that we've already toured, but it's wonderful to be here back at Bourn Koch with my host again,
Joe Gorel, Director
Joe,
of Sales and Marketing.
Joe asked if we could come back to show what they're doing on the MT Cubed, which is cool because it's kind of the modern twist on a Blanchard grinder. And I love coming back because what they do here is, it's so critical to the history of American manufacturing. I mean, could you list some of the brands and technologies?
Yeah. Yep. Blanchard, Bullard, DeVlieg, American Tool Works, Springfield, Jones & Lamson, Moch, Acme Gridley, Konomatic. I mean, just
And these are
Madison.
gear making machines, hobbers, shapers,
Yeah.
Fellows,
Barber-Colman. Yeah, those two as well. Yep, just everything. So gear, grinding, turning, milling. Just.
I mean, yeah, I get so far up. Case in point, I mean, you just look over at things like that. Are we allowed to show that, Joe?
Oh yeah, you can show it off a little bit.
I mean, and then you look this way and look. Can we walk over to that Blanchard?
Yeah.
It's kind of an inside joke or not so inside joke, but I just love Blanchard grinders, and you're continuing to rebuild and build new ones.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
And I mean, this is huge. How big is this?
So this is an 84-inch Blanchard. This is our machine. So
Okay.
we do, like for instance here, this is the bottom plate on a 36 or a 42-inch Blanchard. So we're gonna put this guy up there and we'll grind it flat before we rebuild that chuck.
Yes. So you're grinding Blanchard parts on bigger Blanchard.
Oh yeah. So
one of the first ones I ever got to see in person was in all places San Francisco, and it was probably that same model there. And I hate to use the word cute, but it's cute.
it's a baby Blanchard. That's what we call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
this is not the biggest size.
No, it isn't. No. We'll see one bigger down the way.
Okay. Because at the very end, you guys were rebuilding one back then. I want to say it was a 96 or 120 or something.
We had a 120 back there that already shipped out. There's a 96 back there that we're finishing up. So you'll get to see that.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll put a card in the description and up here for folks that want to watch the original tour. But you said there's been a fair amount of stuff going on here?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of new stuff, both with MT Cubed, a new design on the Blanchard, just a lot of really cool things that we're working on, and figured it was a good opportunity to have you back and see what we're doing.
Yeah, show us around.
So we've reorganized a part of our shop. So this is where our kind of tool room used to be. You can see now we just have the big Blanchard, and we've spent a lot of time reorganizing our tool room and our tools to be where we can find them. So as you might imagine, owning like 29 different machine tool lines, you gather up a lot of stuff. So we've been trying to categorize that, get it into places where we can easily find it. Some of the other cool stuff we've been doing is we've been seeing a lot more companies going towards new Blanchards. So right here you can see, this is pretty cool. Adam's got a baby Blanchard column set up here, and he's machining it on the big gray.
Yes.
So
that's so cool.
We're building a couple of these guys here, and he's popping some holes in the front of it and getting it ready to go to the assembly point.
And so when you say a new Blanchard, that's the weldment, completely brand new machine, not just an overhaul refurb of old iron.
Yeah, it's a brand new machine, 100%.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. We'll throw in some video snippets from the last tour here, but walking through the Bourn Koch library was kind of a once-in-a-life chance to see, I mean, literally tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of the original prints and drawings from all of these brands that you mentioned. And then to think that you guys still have to service that, or choose to service that?
We do choose to service it, yes.
Incredible.
Happily.
Yeah. And that's the vertical column that supports the head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the column. You can see Adam's getting to work there, figuring out the next stop.
What's up?
Awesome.
Just mentioned that you were working on the column here for this little Blanchard.
Yep.
Second one. Cool. Everything's just bigger. Like the size of the precision angle set. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. When you build big machines, you need big tools. Yeah. As you were here last time, you saw we do a lot of work on this DeVlieg, and that hasn't changed at all. But we're seeing, more and more of these Blanchard parts start to come through as we keep building new machines. So this machine still gets a ton of work on the daily. And Rory's got part of the hob slide for one of our 400Hs up there.
Okay.
So we'll see a couple of those down the way that we're building right now.
I'd be curious, I don't know if you're able or willing to comment on this, but the increase in Blanchard demand, is that truly reshoring manufacturing, controlling supply chains, bringing manufacturing in-house, or do you guys just sell the machines and don't worry as much about what's going on?
We see a little bit of all of that. So for some people, it's replacing an older machine.
Okay.
For some people, it's needing better capability out of their Blanchard. So
Yeah.
being able to hold tighter tolerances, faster cycle times. For some people, they're just getting into the process for the first time. So they're looking at, can we bring this in-house from our supply chain? Can we be more responsive to our customers?
Sure.
It's a mixed bag,
Yeah.
for sure. But we do talk with people about why they're doing it, so that we can correctly set the expectation. Hey, if you've never done this before, we're here to work with you.
Sure.
If you know it like the back of your hand, we're still here to work with you.
Sure. But that's still, like, it warms my heart to know that manufacturing is trending in that way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it is great to see. And we have seen a fair amount of companies looking at buying machines, bringing products in-house where they were previously made outside or offshore.
Yeah, awesome.
One of the cool things we've started getting more involved in is contract manufacturing. So when people started getting really busy, they started looking for places that they could turn work around quicker.
Sure.
And we have a lot of capacity here because we might use this machine for just a few parts, but we need it.
Yes.
When we need this machine, we need it. So it sits idle sometimes.
Sure.
So same thing with that machine. When we need it, but it sits idle sometimes. We brought in work that
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
we now do for our customers. And here you can see Dave's running
Look at that.
pretty decent sized gear on our 1280 Hobber.
Yeah. Why does this machine have to be this big?
So you can cut a large diameter gear, and then also so you can cut large gears between centers.
Okay.
So if you were here last week, we had a gear that the face width was probably only about 6 inches, but it was about a 36 to 40 inch long shaft.
Got it.
So if you had a horizontal to run it on, you'd probably run it that way, but this is what we have here. So we were able to put it between centers and hob it.
Okay.
And
So whether it's the gear that's that big or it's just that the gear is permanently attached to a shaft that has to fit. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool.
yeah, so here we're doing some other pretty out of the box stuff. We're actually shaping ink canal here. Which
Really?
Is, yeah.
Wait. Shaping?
Yeah, so we are gear shaping ink canal here. And it's not like it hasn't been done before, but it was a new process for us. Normally we're dealing with more run-of-the-mill material.
Sure.
So there's a lot of a learning curve here, but
Yeah.
we're doing it pretty successfully now. And it's been good work, both from a learning perspective and from being able to help a company out
sure.
that was looking for really quick deliveries.
I can't imagine the emails. I want a speeds and feeds request for shaping Inconel. Yeah, that's a good one.
We sharpen the cutter after every part because that's how quickly the cutter goes.
Is it a carbide cutter?
It is not.
It is not.
It's not carbide.
That's crazy.
So we're not running uncoated. We tried using coatings. It just didn't really have a whole lot of an effect on the life of the cutter.
Sure.
So each part, we pull the cutter out, shape it, and pop it in cutter.
Yeah. You got the right facility to dust off that edge right there.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And can I ask, is this just testing for a customer, or is this a job shop for contract manufacturing work?
This is like job shop work.
Okay.
So we had a company who had a similar machine to ours. It went down. They were in a pinch. Couldn't wait for a repair technician to get it back up and running. They said, "Can you run it?" We said, "Sure." And it's been going really well with them. So we just kind of kept the ball rolling.
Interesting.
We're not looking to take work from anybody or any of
Sure.
our customer base. Like, let me just say that first and foremost. But
Yes.
we are looking to help out people that may have difficulty justifying a new piece of equipment or dealing with a lead time for a service technician or parts or something like that. So we want to be able to help our customers out. And this is one way we can do that.
Well, I got to think, like, I mean, myself, as running Saunders Machine Works, if I'm working with a new vendor in a pinch, the level of confidence that would come with knowing that I'm actually outsourcing this to the company that builds the machine, that feels good.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we know a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Do we want to look at the MT Cube now, or do you want to come back?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
take some time to look at it as part of this tour. So
So for folks that didn't watch the last video, will you explain MT Cube to me?
sure. So MT Cube is our latest machine tool. So it's primarily a vertical grinder, but can also turn and mill. It uses a virtual Y-axis to be able to do 3-axis moves, so we can, and our engineering manager would kill me if I said we could do this, but it can do off-center grinding, so it can do off-center milling work, profiling, etc., and then also act as a vertical lathe. So you can literally put a part in and pull a part out with some very tight tolerances and multiple different operations, like this, which is the work spindle for our 400H gear hopper. And you can see we're running a second one up there right now, where we're roughing it, and then that's what the finished product will be. So all of those holes, all of those ground surfaces, all of that turning work's done in this machine.
No kidding. I was just going to ask, is it just a light finished turn and a finished grind? No, you're actually drilling the holes.
Yeah.
No
so
kidding.
If you want to come on up and see where we start with this thing, Derek's been working on machining it and getting the roughing done.
Oh, that's really taking a cut too.
Yeah, it's
90 thou depth.
Yeah.
90,000 depth of cut. Wow. Do you know your feet per rev?
What is your feeder?
Oh, 38 point. Here we go. 0.38 millimeters per rev. Wow. I mean, you can see the chips forming though. That's real.
That's the HSK 63 static spindle in there right now.
Okay, so it's an HSK 63 spindle, and those are just steel. That's not carbide extensions, or it's not. Is it a dampening system?
It's not a dampening system, and it is steel. You can see it's crimped up, so there's a tool head and an extension.
Yeah,
and
sure.
holder.
A lot of stick up though.
Yeah. But for this reach, he had to extend it out that far to be able to reach past that diameter.
And you can see the finish. I mean, it sounds great.
And that's just the roughing passes. It puts a really nice finish on turning, and then of course, if you really need the accuracy and the finish, put a grinding spindle.
Come back right in the same setup. Yeah,
Oh,
sure. I still can't get over that Madison grinder.
Oh,
the size of that.
It's a big boy, but they're bigger ones. I mean,
Incredible though.
yeah.
Gosh. What is
This is a T-SAG. So this is a segmented arm gear hopper.
okay?
So this machine is purpose designed for making the arm that mates with the gear in a crank-out window.
Okay.
So we designed this machine specifically for doing that. And it's a version of a gear hobbing machine that would normally have a large spindle here that would tilt over, and then it has the work spindle here, which moves like this. And as the work spindle comes here, the hob slide moves down and creates the gear teeth on that arm.
Yes.
And these machines crank out a ton of these parts a year for the customer that has these, and they are having us remanufacture them to newer technology and to put new controls on them and to get them back in good shape.
Yeah.
I mean, they run thousands of these parts. So if you cranked a window out ever, you probably cranked a window out that has a part that's made by one of our machines.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
I mean, I know cranking a window isn't necessarily the sexiest example of manufacturing, but like being able to give folks that example of like how it relates to something that we've all, I guess if you were born recently, maybe you've never hand cranked a window, but I've hand cranked a window.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So this is old iron.
Yeah.
But look at that. I mean, new rails, the way you're doing the setup, like that's really cool to be building machines like this.
Yep. New rails, new ball screws, new CNC control. We'll make some modifications to it per what they want in the design. But these machines, we started building them, I think, in the early 2000s. So the controls on some of the very early ones are obsolete.
Yeah.
So they'll get a brand new Fanuc CNC control, new front end on it, new servos, new drives, the works. And then it gets completely rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a new machine.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is.
There's nothing compromised about that whatsoever. Right?
Yeah, 100%. So it gives them something they can continually run, we can continually support, and so can our partners like Fanuc.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you got a chance to see one of these when we were here last time, did you?
I think we saw somebody that had the sheet metal off of it, because I do recall the hob, the horizontal hob, or am I correct?
Yeah, horizontal gear hopper.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So this is our 400H gear hopper, and this is a completely finished built machine with what we call our standard sample completed right here. So this is the test gear we got.
Okay.
So we're actually running a capability study on it right now. So we're going to cut 30 of these, and we'll check them all in the gear CMM.
Okay.
And then make sure that the quality is consistent across them.
And that's a helical gear, but that's a straight tooth hog, correct?
Well,
Am I right or wrong? Or can that cut this?
that can cut this.
Interesting.
The helix angle is generated by the swivel of the hob and then also by the hob itself.
I didn't think about that. That actually is an axis itself. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So this will swivel. This will swivel over, and I can get. We use our conversational here to be able to tell the machine what the gear data is,
Okay.
and then it automatically sets the A-axis, sets the swivel
Mhm.
to what it needs to be in order to generate the helix angle. So if you tell it the gear data that it needs to and the tool data,
Yeah.
it does all of that math and calculation for you and generates part program and just runs it.
You're right. It's
So
You
instead
don't
of
need
having,
offline cam programmers or
well, I mean, how many CAM programs have gear manufacturing?
sure.
So it's kind of it's a real niche. So having your own software is kind of the name of the game. So yeah, that's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're about to get into some other cool stuff down here. So we've been doing a lot with Blanchard over the last couple of years, and one of the things that you saw while you're here is remanufacture them. Of course, we've also built new machines, redesigned them, and we made some changes, which we'll see a little bit further down here. But we'll walk by a couple of these remanufacturers we've been working on. So this one's complete. This one's just waiting to ship out to a customer. So this guy's done. This is actually a geared head machine, which is kind of cool. So I don't know if you've ever run into one of these, but you can see the spindle on this one.
Okay.
It's more of like a normal spindle motor than like a rotor and stator type of motor.
Okay.
So this uses a gearbox along with a higher horsepower motor to be able to get more power into the cut.
You just get more torque out of it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought of Blanchards as being light on torque though.
No, not necessarily, but some things really do need a lot more horsepower than others. So we offer our new machines in 50 or 100 horsepower, but Blanchard would offer, say, this model in a 50, a 75, and 100.
Okay.
And then because these weren't direct drive motors, they would step the speed down through a gearbox in order to get the torque needed, but also to get that wheel to run at 720 RPM. We don't quite know whether the limitation is the segments or the limitation was based on the process. We can't quite figure that out. But most of the machines run at pretty close to an equivalent surface footage per minute as to what that would run, 720 RPM and 22 inches.
Okay.
So
that's cooking on SFM.
Yeah, it is. It's fast, but you also have to mind the fact that it's got an abrasive there, which is basically rocks glued together that you run into it.
Pop poop, yeah. and so the crash course on Blanchards is you've got your parts down on a magnetic chuck. You can see this is a polar chuck, is that correct? With this, and then your grinding wheels they call segments, and they're these bits that kind of clamp into that chuck, and then this rotates the opposite direction as the parts table, and then you're able to come down and lower, and really it's a rough grinding machine. You can do more detailed work with them, right? But it's really a Hagen grinder.
It can do both. So this guy should hold 2/10 across this chuck face when it's done. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, that's impressive.
When we run these machines off, we take, and this might look familiar, it kind of looks like the outline of a Blanchard logo.
Okay.
But we take 3 of these pucks and we set them up on the table. Center, middle, and out. And then we make sure that they're all within 2/10 of each other for flatness, parallelism, and size.
Yeah.
So that machine should be able to hold a couple of tenths. Now, I understand materials, heat, abrasives, process, all of that goes into whether you can get a very tight tolerance piece of work off of this, but it's part of the misconception in the marketplace that these are only good for hogging. They're great for doing finish work, too.
Okay. I like that's good to know. Yeah, 2/10 is a very respectable
it's tight.
for sure. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
Yep.
So the customer that owned this machine just shipped it here, you guys overhauled it, and then they're taking it back? Or was it turned in and then you guys paired it with a new owner?
It was a machine we took in on trade against a brand new machine, and then a new owner decided they got this.
Cool. Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun to see them go from this
and this,
to this.
Yeah, right. This is, oh man. I mean, these things live a hard life, right?
They do. So this guy lived a particularly hard life.
Oh, yeah.
But we see them come in all different types of conditions, and then they leave looking like brand new.
Yeah.
That's our job.
This is, that almost looks like a linear. Is this a boxway machine or is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, are they screwing the way down, the give down to this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Blanchards came in kind of two different types of flavors up to a certain point. The original, very old machines had a cast-in waste surface.
Okay.
So it was integral to the base.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could not, you'd have to machine it if it was out of alignment. You'd have to put like a waste strip on it, something like that. The columns are very much like that. You see the waste surfaces on the columns they're cast in. These baseways are replaceable, so you get the table off, and you get the way covers off, and all of that. You can put new baseways on there. So if you're out of alignment on the table, you can always replace those baseways.
Got it.
And you have to re-scrape the table carrier back into it, but
Sure.
it's a lot better than having to pull the whole thing
Table. Sure.
and
Oh yeah.
put it up on a milling machine to
Yeah.
get this flat. You know, at a certain point, like, is it really worth the work? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So this guy will get new baseways, and the table will get scraped back in.
But he'll stay a boxway machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll stay a boxway machine. Yeah, we don't do linears on anything but the new machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the new ones do have guideways.
Yeah, they do have guidelines. Cool. So, yeah, you'll see that coming down here and see some of that. So, you can see some of the guts of 400H.
Okay, this is another 400.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like before all the sheet metal goes on. You can see the rails, ball screws. I think this was in a similar condition to what you saw last time.
It does
Yep.
look like that.
Yeah,
Okay. Got it. Cool.
Yep. So, and
Another
then,
MC. You only had one last time.
yeah,
Two.
we've got, well, there's a third one in process, so we get
Okay.
to see a little bit behind the scenes there. So this one is being run off right now, and right now we have a customer part in there, so we won't get too close on it. So here's
a naked one.
yeah.
Can we show this?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is the machine we're building right now. It's an MT Cube, and you can see we've got a fair amount of the work done on it to get it to the point where it's ready to start getting the work spindle on here, getting the grinding spindle on there. The screws are in, the rails are on, the chip conveyor's in, we've got the servo cylinder mounted. It's got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
So it's been neat watching these things come together, from the first one we built down there for our own machine shop, and then to watch this one, and now to watch this one happen. So it's very cool to watch the process.
How much are you having to hold off and build these to customer spec versus creating one to have kind of ready to sell?
So we try to keep the materials on hand to be able to build one, and we, you know, when we have time, we like to put machines in inventory.
Yeah.
You know, we're a 80-person company, so, and we have a pretty decent backlog right now. So building things to inventory is a little difficult to manage. But when we have some gap times, we'll release a machine to the floor and we'll build it up to the point where, you know, it's ready to be configured for a customer spec. The cool thing about this is, though, is that like that spindle can be different
Can do it.
just based on what you want.
Yeah.
So like we have set spindles, but like that machine there has a really tiny like HSK 32 grinding spindle to be able to do some very tight bore work.
Interesting.
So
Literally, you need a smaller nose diameter of the spindle to fit. Okay.
and that also has a larger HSK 50 spindle for doing outside diameter work.
I remember this is the robot arm that can actually literally change the spindles out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So if we look right there, that's got the robot on it.
Yeah.
So we can go around to the back side and we can see it, and then you can see the spindle, the two spindles in there. So there's a skinny spindle, and then there's a shorter diameter milling spindle in there.
I've seen
as well.
robots change tools, change pallets, change parts. I've never, until this machine, seen a robot that can literally pick up and replace the spindle. Incredible.
So yeah, so it helps with having both spindles and then being able to change it over. So they don't need to have a B-axis to be able to swivel back and forth from spindle to spindle. They don't need to go through the manual labor to change over spindles. Like if you look at some of the older Springfield grinders, they have a similar type of cartridge style spindle. So like some of the companies that we work with, you'll go there and they'll have all of these different spindles on a rack for all of the different work that you do. Long ones, they may need short ones, they may need skinny ones, they may need wider ones. And this machine essentially does that. The cool part about it is we can build it up and then we can have whatever spindles they need made to fit their application. And then if they want to add turning, they want to add milling, they want to add whatever else, hey, that all can be done.
Can it be added post-purchase?
Yes.
It can. That's cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
You can kind of roll into one of these then.
We're trying to make it as flexible as possible because a lot of what we saw in the market when we were building like dedicated vertical grinders is that it would always be, the spindle would be custom to the customer's application. So the speed, the length, the tool, the diameter, it was all based on that. And having those motor-driven spindles, they're a long lead, and it would either come down to a compromise in some cases, like if a customer needed a machine really quickly, what we could deliver.
Yeah.
So too long of a tool holder with a short spindle, too long of a spindle with a short tool holder. So this lets us get to the point where we can customize it per the application, and you can have the right spindle that you need almost right out of the box.
Yeah, that's cool.
And plus, the spindle motor on this thing is like 30 kilowatt and 13,000 RPM. So
Yeah.
the curve hits like literally every spindle we've ever provided for a grinding machine. Plus, you can mill with it.
Yeah, I love that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And mill with it, really mill with it, not just like as an afterthought where
Yeah.
It's just not good to do it, but you could.
Yeah, it's not an afterthought at all. So you'll notice that this looks pretty similar to this, it's just a different color. And the reason why it's a different color is because it's a customer's machine that they want it painted this specific color. But this is the new version of our Blanchard that we're now building, where the base and column and table are completely the same as MTQ.
Oh.
So this is a completely modular platform so that we can order the same base, order the same column, order the same rails, order the same ball screw, the same gearbox, and build two different machines.
Yeah.
So this machine, the only difference is here is we'll get this,
Look at that.
this big boy of a spindle motor.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
To think that that's on the Z rails.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
And then there's the spindle head right there, which is mates to.
The scale, the size of these is just incredible. I guess I've never seen a naked. So you have your chuck that holds the segments mounts into this spline or into this keyway?
That keyway there, and then this is kind of the taper there, and then you can see it bolts in.
Yeah. I mean, even just like the size of that. So I'm not gonna touch it, but like the size of that ball screw, just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the other cool thing we put on here is we got a really neat joystick.
I like that.
I want to run this machine with the joystick just for the fun of being able to do it.
Yeah. But first is just having buttons in the past, or
yeah. So like you still have your buttons here for your jog and your rapid, but now you have this control right there in addition to having your MPG.
Yes.
So like you can be at the machine and just, hey, I want to bring the head down. It's as easy as that. I want to bring the table out. It's as easy as that.
So, really dumb question. As a guy who likes Blanchards but never actually run one, on an old school Blanchard, not one that's been retrofitted or upgraded, is there power feed? Like, how do you jog the parts in and out of the head up and down?
There is power feed, but there is also a hand wheel. Actually, we can show you right over here.
Awesome.
So this is kind of cool. We've always rebuilt the machines, but we haven't really done a whole lot with the electrical system on manual machines. So within the last year, we came up with an electrical, I'll call it a retrofit package for lack of a better word, that we can put on these older machines when a company just wants something manual rather than a CNC control.
Yeah.
So this is a fully manual machine. You can get a look at the cabinet back here. And
sure.
Other than the spindle drive, I believe that's the spindle drive.
That might be the original spindle drive.
Other than that, I mean, everything else is brand new in this cabinet. It gets a brand new chuck controller, and we still maintain the hand wheel, the dials, the levers, and then your control. Hi, everybody. With John's camera cutting out, we didn't want you guys to miss one of the highlights of the tour, which is this massive Blanchard 48 AD96 that we just finished remanufacturing. This machine's a 96-inch chuck, a 48-inch segmented wheel holder, and well, let's just go take a look around inside of it and show you guys the machine and give you an idea of the scale and size of this thing. So you can see here, this is the coolant system. It's a 2,000-gallon coolant system that we added to the machine to contain all the swarf that comes off of it from the amount of material it removes. And then here's the machine itself. You can see here, we retrofitted a full enclosure onto the machine to contain all of the coolant mist inside of it. And then heading up onto the platform, you see what else we did to the machine, which is this Fanuc 35i CNC control that we added. And then fully remanufactured. That means rebuilt and ready to rock and roll and ready to hit the same tolerances as this machine would have when it was brand new. So here we'll take a step up inside the machine. You guys can see around in it. Check out that Blanchard finish that's on that chuck. Doesn't it just look gorgeous? Thank you guys very much. It's unfortunate John's camera cut out, but glad we still had this machine here so we could show it to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
I love seeing the processes behind how a company like this is able to build, maintain, restore, rehab, handle the customer needs and demands across so many machine tool brands and catalogs of historical machines. Again, if you didn't see that first video, man, looking through those drawing libraries was really an incredible experience. So a shout out to Bourn Koch for letting us come film again. And as always, folks, hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. See you soon.